West Bay, and by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. No, it won't be a song, but there'll be a lot of praise. 949-837, 949-6990. Hopefully, those lines work for you, but if not, let's give you two more. Toll-free call at 1-800-534-8255. And if you call it and say, hey, I got to pay for it, well, let us know. We can see what happens. In the WhatsApp, 925-3261. It's open line here on Talk Today. Stay tuned.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. 949-837, 949-6990. Thanks for listening to Radio Cayman. It's all our programming from the news. With this all great music that we play for you. Here on Talk Today, we want to hear from you, so let's go straight to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. It's Captain Farrington.
Good afternoon, Captain, sir. How are you today?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
I am highly favored. God has blessed me greatly, man. Thank God.
I hear you. Well, I thought I would give you the ending out. Sterling, I plan to do a little book. Which would, some of the fat I'm cutting out when I'm talking not to you on the video, I'll have it in that. But I thought before I slip in more, let me finish up, because the finishing is something that is, well, you'll hear for yourself. So, going straight to Babadidi, I have a cousin, first cousin, who's a doctor up in Connecticut. He works in the emergency room. Well, fast forward, I received a call at 8:30 in the morning from Babadidi's sister, one of them, I should say, telling me that she thought Babadidi was getting sick, and if I would come and have a look. And I went, and after I looked at him, I called 911. They took him to the emergency room. Mr. Sterling, I did not remember that my cousin was on the island and that he was at the emergency room at that time. I remember him saying, I want to put in some time at the emergency room, strictly free. I want to give back something to the land of my birth. So, the ambulance took Babadidi to the emergency room. I followed. I got there, and, they did the triage part of it. Turned him over, and then all of a sudden, there was Rusty. That's what we called my cousin. So, I jumped a little bit here because I had a 1947, or I never had it, but I drove a 1947 Pontiac station wagon. And Rusty used to like to go every time I was moving. This particular day, his mother, who was my mother's younger sister, he was spending the day down there. So Rusty is riding with me, and we went to Babadidi's. He used to wear a shirt Rusty. So Bobby would grab him, smell his belly and all this. This particular day, we got back home. He said, Mama, you know, Bobby smelled me belly. She said, yeah, again? Yeah, saying I love you. So I told him yes. All right, so I'll get back to the emergency room now. Rusty said to me, because our friend, that's how he said it, our friend is in for a rocky road or something like that. I am going to give him, he has cancer. I'm going to give him a prescription for liquid morphine. And a little easy for him to take probably. And it'll work fast. Well, Vernon, that's what he did. Bobby didn't last too much longer.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to do his life story. Did a tribute. He was given, although he was a deaf mute, he was given a good send-off.
Mm-hmm.
So, that is the story of Baba Didi. Excuse me. But I'm glad that you knew him.
Yeah.
A lot of people missed his services. So, until next time, Starlin, you take care. God bless.
Amen. And thank you, Calhoun, for sharing with us, because, you know, the love and respect that we can demonstrate for each other is admirable, especially when we do so publicly. And thank you for being that example, sir. You know.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Amen. Blessings. It is maybe what this space is about, this place we call home. Maybe it is the time in which we occupy. But it's important that I think we start to recognize that, you know, just as if we can unring the bell, no man is promised tomorrow. And in embracing the now, are we embracing it for all we can get or all we can give? And if we give from a loving, cheerful heart, there are going to be those who always like to take. But as the scripture reminds us, you know, fool in his mother's home parted, we need to be mindful. But as we draw alongside each other, we can live that good life, you know, and walk that good walk. I want to hear from you, though, because life isn't always rosy, and it doesn't mean that in the complaints and our challenges and trials and tribulations that necessarily that we have to be always, you know, negative. But in being realistic, we can still have a sense of positive optimism. 949-8037, 949-6990. WhatsApp 925-3261. Or you can call us 1-800-534-8255. 4 extra digits to dial, but it gets you there. And if you have a challenge and can't get through, let us know, because we want to make sure it's accessible to you. In my humble opinion, and I stand by it with great conviction, you know, Radio Cayman is paid for and facilitated by the taxpayer, so it is for us. It is for us to use in our best endeavors to ensure that we are able to reach the entire country. It wasn't long ago when we had, you know, the request line, and it was a wonderful time. All would sit and listen to see if that letter that we wrote in, you know, to wish happy birthday was going to be read that evening. And there are many a joke about many people from many a district. Oh, you know, the request came on, but you were outside, so I turned the radio off so that when you came in, we could turn it back on so you could hear it. Whether that was true or false, whether we were just making fun of a loved one or someone else. And the fact is that we still laugh at it to this day. And that may have been a long time ago that happened, and we no longer need to write a letter. Some of us probably don't even know where the post office is. Can you still buy stamps? But we can still communicate. And just like someone may, I know, have called up, not just during the passage of Hurricane Ivan, for instance, and want to make sure that people know that, you know, their businesses are open, that their employees are returned to work, or more importantly, that they're okay. We can use it as an airways. It should be an indelible part of our community. Now, with that in mind, let us share this sentiment as expressed by one of our listeners. We were talking yesterday, amongst many things, you know, about the glass house. And if you're not sure where that is, well, ask somebody. And if they're not sure, get together, make a jaunt to see if you can go on a little treasure hunt. So this person writes today, so I listened to the discussion about the old glass house yesterday. I believe it would make sense to gut the building and remodel it. I know from working in it and the West Wing building that the glass house has a better core structure, and yet Uncle Dart was able to remodel the West Wing building. It really makes no sense to have the glass house just standing there for a few more years. Maybe they can invite some building professionals to tour the building and make some suggestions so they can decide what to do about it. And I think we live in a space and a place where we probably heard the mantra, waste not, want not. And I have the greatest respect to this day, even more than ever, for the words of the late Miss Consuelo. Those who knew her and associated her on a frequent basis understood that she was a lady of great wisdom. She spoke her mind. She often would speak from a very considered perspective, and in her usual charismatic, very animated, persona, whether you saw her coming into the supermarket or you happened to have been able to sit on the beach and have her regale about things, or whether you were in a public setting and she was lamenting about the environmental protection. She was a stalwart lady, and perhaps she may say to us today that we missed the opportunity when we were developing. Perhaps we missed the opportunity she would share after the passage of some natural disasters. The buildings were damaged to have maybe redevelop them a little further from the seashore. Perhaps today, like the suggestion that I voiced the other day from someone who says, is it feasible? But if it is or isn't, are we even willing to sit and consider it? She might say, something worth considering. It might be a suggestion that she might have advocated, or she might have said, no, you off your rockers for suggesting. But a comment the fellow shared that I shared the other day that I share again now could be, look at some of the buildings on 7 Mile Beach, and from between the cemetery to cemetery, how many of them we could knock down. Maybe some we don't even bother to rebuild. Maybe others as they would knock them, they would move them, further inland, and thereby shifting the road and making the beach wider and more accessible, and perhaps making the property safer. Now, not an architect, engineer, property developer, probably would be ridiculed for even repeating it as the fellow was when he shared it with a small circle, but he said, we got to be willing to say things sometimes to see if it will spark, not in a sense to gain shock value, but to ask people to think, because we become, as he had shared, too comfortable and sometimes complacent in our own thought processes, in our own sort of settings, and not appreciative that maybe what we have today came at great cost, investment and sacrifice and service by others who've come before. So what are we doing for those who are hopefully will come after? The obligation, he thinks, is to at least leave the place as we found it, but preferably make it even better so that future generations can enjoy. Well, let's pause and take our first break. When we return, I'm not going to ask you any questions that would cause you to have to go research and come up with some riddle that may trick the mind. All I'm simply asking is, do you have the courage to share your perspective? Do you have the willingness to allow us to benefit from your experience? Are you, so confident that your experiences could help to better inform the rest of us? Well, share with us, because I know you are. 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway, Eat fresh.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter will be taking appointments from January 12th to the 21st at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location, ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It's open line 949-8837 or 949-6990. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Either one of those will help you to get your message across to us. But you can also call us on 1-800-534-8255 and share your thoughts with us. As was out earlier listening to some students who are just about to travel back to university, and it's always not just refreshing, not just encouraging. Sometimes it makes you feel that you have done a great disservice. You as the adult in the room, you as the young professional who could and should be doing more. And maybe, as one of the elderly gentlemen who was present said, here he is in his golden years, believing that he was doing, the best he could, only now to realize that much of what he was doing wasn't just, as we would say, feathering his own nest. Because had he been doing it properly, or a little bit differently, not only would he have more financially, more materially, but more satisfaction. And as one young student, she's nearing her completion of her undergraduate studies and considering what is it that she would like to do going forward, shared that it was her intent, partly because of what her grandmother had shared, and partly because of, sort of seeing the merit and experiencing it firsthand. She had shared that she would have welcomed the opportunity to, work in one or two particular locations, get experience in her area that she thought at that time that she would want to, make a career. Only now to realize that, yes, there is a demand for that in Cayman. People are doing well. But, unfortunately, she is not convinced that she would have a place in Cayman. Not only, will she probably find it difficult to get into the profession, to get the requisite experience and, sharpen her expertise. She, from what she can say, been openly discouraged, and not only by Caymanian family and friends, but by prospective employers and colleagues, who in her mind are also part and parcel of that fray. We should probably move away, they say. Now that is interesting to listen, and sometimes it may cause us to feel a bit hurt. So 925-3261 is our WhatsApp. Let's share this other, WhatsApp message that came in, and it's in relation to the, the glass house, the first sort of, well, let me read this for you. So it makes a lot of sense to renovate that historic admin building, referring to the glass house. The cost submitted a few years ago to demolish was approximately $2 million, and the cost to renovate it was about $5 million. If renovated, it would give government over 50,000 square feet of additional office space that will offset a lot of rental that's being paid out. That's the first metal and glass building in the Cayman Islands, and still structurally sound. Now, it's interesting that this discussion is again coming to the fore. Some of you might have particular insight as to why. Perhaps it is sparked by recognition that one should not waste, not want not, mindset. It may be that as we look at resources, it's becoming increasingly apparent that from the potential, as we've heard, relative to the expected increase between 15 and 30% in the premiums for insurance of the manufacturers that are put forward, global supply chain, issues was put forward. And I want to say that in part disbelief and jest, because sitting next to some industry professionals within the insurance sector, they kind of chuckle, hoping that they would have shared a little bit more insight to sort of give us a better way to explain that. But one individual in the sort of development construction arena said he has had challenges, not just the last few years, but even in the past, because of the economic demand and pull in some markets where steel, for instance, or concrete and other aggregates became a challenge to get. There may have been delays because of retooling of certain manufacturing plants, and so gypsum and other things might have been a little bit off, lumber and the like. But it was potentially, at least as was shared with him at the various builder shows and the like that he would attend, that these are things that have been addressed as companies figure out how they can meet demand, or how they can drive their supply so that end of the day they can make their profits and make their investments viable. What he shares that if we had considered then what some who are perhaps now more than they were then considered, instead of being visionary, probably considered to be alarmists. And he shared, if you think of how we built and used things in the past, we were resourceful, we were inventive, not only industrious, but there were people who, through their innovative approach, you saw an ingenious method of doing things, taking something that otherwise could be discarded or misused. I'll give us an example, and I hope she doesn't mind, because I see the ingeniousness of it. Good friend shared that her brother took a particular part of a car. I've seen it done here by my own brothers, and used it in a cooking apparatus. And this is a sign of a very intelligent individual, but someone who is willing to put the skill sets and show it can be done. All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Sterling Dwayne.
My friend, how is everything where you are, man?
In the Cayman Islands.
I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. Sometimes, though, the vista that you get from the high plains may make things seem that much better, right?
Perspective is always good.
Yeah.
And I have a perspective on the glass house.
I would very much welcome you sharing that with us, man.
Well, I'm a fan of art.
Mm-hmm.
I will always probably be a fan of art.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably suggest having it into a gallery space. But not just a gallery space,
mm-hmm.
but like a Native Sons gallery space, where we have a permanent collection with our works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of the team, because it is what it is. Space is available. It has potential, but everybody's saying, "Well, what to do with it?" Now, let me show you something, Sterling. There was a recent museum that it's called the Cheech, and the Cheech has to do with Mexican culture. You probably know about the characters Cheech and Chong. So Cheech went on to actually open a museum, and his museum focuses on Mexican American art.
Right.
And that's the theme for the gallery. So I am saying that we can have something like that too, where the theme of the gallery is Caymanian art. It's right there. It's already made. So let me fill you in some more, because the place where he actually has as a museum now was once an abandoned place, just like the glass house. They had to invest between $5 and maybe like $2 million to get the place to where it's at. But it's a place for Mexican American art. It's the home for it. So I'm saying that if our government is serious, I can make a suggestion to them to invest in our art, because we are investing in Cayman. We are the people, and we're saying, give us an opportunity. If not, where has there been an opportunity where you can have a space for Caymanian art?
I want to ask you about that, and I was just trying to see if this individual would respond to my question, but just in okay, I'm trying to read this here. No, I was just trying to read this here, but I got two challenges. I don't have the phone too close to my eyes, and then secondly, for some reason, how the font has come through with this one, but that's on me. The individual, thanks Miss Susan, she is always so helpful. She suggests I get a magnifying glass. This person is saying, well, we have a national gallery, right? And I wanted to read it, how it was sent, so maybe they'll resend it. We have a national gallery, and although it commends you for the idea, but wants to say, we have a national gallery, why in that can we have a more dedicated space so that it is more representative and reflective?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay.
So America has not the National Gallery as well too.
Right.
The American Museum for National Arts as well. You have all of those branches, but somehow we can't dedicate the space for us.
Why not?
I mean, we do work with the National Gallery, but the National Gallery is very inclusive, and there are more other artists than Caymanian artists. So why not give the Caymanian artists a home? Go there, find us. It's a tricky thing, but the best example I can give you is the Cheech.
Yeah.
They promote their culture.
Yeah, man. I laugh and I share with you because I see now what the person was trying not to say, but I think I can interpret it and present it back if you want. He's let's put it this way. He said he's talking about Cheech, but he's gonna be a little bit cheeky. I couldn't pick it up as quickly. But to your point though, if we have a national gallery, right, and we are inclusive, which is the word of the day, it seems, could we not also ensure that we emphasize the native sons, because it's Caymanian when it's convenient for some, and it's derogatory when it isn't.
You see, son, we can't do things unless we include other people, you know.
I think
it seemed like, well, it's a good idea, but like, why we can't be responsible for our destiny, come up with good ideas, make good suggestions.
All right. Well,
we might just prove you wrong.
Yeah, man.
It's needed. There are examples. There you go.
So let me pick from what this message is shared, and I see where they were, where the comment by being cheeky might be. Not to belabor it and not to make it too exhaustive. not long ago, I had shared a couple times publicly that the residence where His Excellency stays should be relocated. You know, it's been a discussion on the table for decades, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it should be demolished. I don't think it should be sold to a developer. I don't think it. This is just my personal view from reading, looking at historical things, traveling, and the like. And it's just my view. I say it with great love and respect to His Excellency personally. I said it publicly, and I stand behind it. And take that existing residence and you turn it into a daycare facility. And this person is saying it's a good idea. You're not getting away with it though, because, you know, and then he goes on to share what he says about some of us, Caymanians, he emphasizes. But a day center and emphasize a maritime heritage and use it for the seafarers. And this person is added in there. You could have, you know, a wing or within that incorporate as one of the activities and as a museum for the native sons, right? Now, that's melding two ideas. What do you think of that? You still have it?
No.
Can that exist, or that be too much for the artist, too much interruption?
It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea to invest in your culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Work with the people who are already established.
All right.
Give them a place and an opportunity. Look at how many people we have given opportunity to.
Yeah. So this brings me to the part where I was hoping the person would respond, and the person has. You want me to share with you?
Yeah.
All right. We use the word inclusive, right? And I've read it, and I'm trying to figure out, boy, you know, should I read it as it's sent, unintended, or should I try to be diplomatic and polite? So here goes, and you decide if I succeed in either of the endeavor. The person is saying that inclusion is good, but when inclusion results in exclusion, displacement of our own, is that inclusion? It further says, you know, we have a lot of quote-unquote local artists, right? But they're not, you know, and it gives an analogy that would say, you know, they're no more local than, and then we leave that for others to imagine. But it's saying this is not to be us and them or to be considered anti, but you cannot promote your own if you don't have a sense of protection. Yeah, that word protectionism seems to be equated with something negative. But if you don't protect your young as an animal in the wild, or as a parent, then you could be scolded and perhaps, you know, resulting in, you know, death. And I just quickly skim over what was shared, implying that protection isn't a bad thing, right? And it's suggesting that maybe we have gotten away from the true, you know, mantra of making sure that Cayman and Caymanians have a place in Cayman. Doesn't mean that others are excluded and not welcomed or invited, but it simply means that you are now seem to be increasingly marginalized and more and more divided. I think that's what it says. So,
well, wherever anybody comes from, they're going to be. I mean, we're going to the kind of marginalizing we're experiencing is unique. It's unique because it's in a Cayman context. When we started off with art, the majority of the people that were doing art was not from here. When we eventually moved into the 90s and stuff, we started to get Caymanian artists doing these things. But before that, there was a lot of teachers that came and taught. There was no gallery scene. There was no permanent collection. There was no people representing Caymanian art. And so we started off by being outnumbered. So when I started doing art, I was already outnumbered. And so over time, we moved on and we were still outnumbered, because if it's 100 Caymanian artists, it's probably about 500 to 400 non-Caymanian artists. And I'm using that word because that's how the economics and statistics categorize people in the Cayman Islands, Caymanians and non-Caymanians. Non-Caymanians had the opportunities then and have opportunities now. We want an opportunity to display our culture. That's my protest. I am giving a solution.
Well, I tell you, you know, this is where these discussions become instructive, informative, and very helpful. And your courage to say, hey, why don't we consider this as, potential use. Someone yesterday, I went back to make sure I read it correctly, said it could be, my words, like a co-op, a housing cooperative where we use it, for affordable housing. There are a number of things.
No, man. No.
Okay.
Okay, I definitely disagree with that. The people will disagree with my sentiment too. But however, let's see how that suggestion will work out.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, well, when you said, Cheech, what was the name of Cheech's place that you were referring to again? I thought he was going to say, Cheech's stash, but he said something else. All right, we're going to pause. Right, Miss Susan? We're going to take a break. The phone lines are there, man. If you want to call us, we want to hear from you. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From the MedLab family to yours, have a safe and blessed 2023.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord. I will go.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. It is open line 949-8037, 949-6990. Of course, toll free if you want to. 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. And if you don't remember those numbers, call us and we'll give them to you. No, it doesn't work that way, right? What is it the song lyrics go? If you live in glass houses, don't throw stones. Ah, boy. 949-8037, 949-6990. Or WhatsApp 925-3261. One of our listeners shared just moments ago. Says, hi there. Can we also talk about the old Hyatt buildings that have been sitting there wasting away? As far as I can recall, the reader writes, as far as I can recall, Dad had made a commitment to have that renovated within a certain time frame. I believe that time has expired. Well, has it? Possibly. Doesn't matter. Maybe. 949-8037, 949-6990. Or 1-800-534-8255. Or if you want, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. And I am looking at a couple of quick messages, and it would be, I think prudent for us to consider some of these views being expressed. One individual sent us a quick photo of, well, I can't make out where that building is, but maybe the next time I ask my friends, I'm sure he'll get there, check his aperture on his camera and, make sure it's in focus before he takes a picture like I sometimes do. But I think it is probably one of the derelict buildings. I'll make sure from the background that I know it first before I say it. Maybe I'll send it through in a bit. But as these last two messages that we shared publicly about the glass house and Hyatt building, and these others that are coming in, maybe people are saying it's not only a blight of the landscape, perhaps they're saying, but is it an acknowledgement that we're so wasteful? And is it that there are issues that we need to address that could potentially bring down our costs, maybe provide increased housing and the like? Now, I know some of you would say, boy, you're really pushing it today now when you say, knock down all the buildings in 7 Mile Beach. Well, if I was really pushing it, I would say knock them down, don't rebuild them. But that's just to be, kind of provocative. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, how are you today?
Enjoying the breeze on the back, my friend.
Oh, I hope you got a kite that you can go fly with, man, because, boy,
yeah,
I'm singing kite too.
I try and find some good bamboo here now. Try to make some out of it.
Be careful you say that too loudly now.
I tell you, man.
I wouldn't want anybody to say that.
Yeah, but something, Sterling. So we not be able to do that in the year neither,
Hey.
They got say we flying it over their private yard, so anything possible these days.
Well, the thing is, I say this.
We really come down to a bad point. Anyway, you go ahead.
No, man, I'll listen to you, and I'll come back to it, man. Hey.
I would just want the guy that just called about that building came on. I mean, for all them generations that went through and everything, it's such a beautiful building, but it would be sad to know that they really got to turn around, take that, and put that into affordable housing for people. That would be so sad. But anyway, I can't fight over that kind of argument because I don't know what's happening down there on that side. But anyway, I hope the best for all of them, and they make a good choice. That's the thing. Hopefully they make good decisions with what they do. But I just wanted to topic on one thing. But the hotline, I mean the free line is still not up and running yet. It's not on yet. So I has a pay as you go. So maybe that's a problem. I don't know. But I would just want to topic on two things.
Right. Before you get those two topics, don't lose them. You just shared that when you try to call a toll-free number, tell us again what you said is. It told you got to pay for it?
Yeah. If you stay on, you'll be charged, yeah.
Okay, and you calling from a prepaid or a postpaid?
Just calling from my cash on the phone. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
And if it's not too much asking you to disclose your personal data, you're using a flow number?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, so a flow toll-free call to a flow toll-free line on a flow phone. Okay, thank you. You're not the only one who has shared out with us, so maybe we can figure out what it is, and if not, we'll get a string in 2 cans.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be a long stretch.
Put a zip line on at the same time.
You know, something it might come out clear and using a string the cans anyway.
You never know.
Yeah, I think that's what's causing a lot of people not calling on the show because they not got that freeness no more of the.
Some people say they're so costly now they don't even show they got to take how much breast they can take.
And I can tell you, in some places where you go top up, they charge extra dollars now on the top up. So things are getting worse for us and better for everything else. So, but like I said, the two topics I want to mention today is the garbage on the side of the road here in Cayman. Now I know Grand Cayman, they have that same issue. And listening to that lady, especially that lady that keep calling me the driver, taxi driver, I don't understand how it is that, especially in Grand Cayman, Sterling, there are numerous amount of vehicles on the road constantly. Somebody have to see someone throwing these stuff on the street down there. You understand? It's different up here. We have a lot of cars on the road here now too, but every little chance a person peeping their rearview mirror and don't see a car, they can throw their bag out. And yesterday on the street, I crossed a full garbage bag in the middle of the road. Now, I don't know if people were dragging it to the dump or somebody just intentionally say, since the garbage truck down now for the whole week, throw the garbage out. Because garbage hasn't been picked up. Now, I think the truck might be down and garbage hasn't been picked up. And everywhere you look, Sterling, you see people, bags, like them shopping bags with dinner plates and things I just throw on the side of the road constantly right through the street, and they had just not so long cleaned the street so pretty, and the people just throwing their stuff out the road. Now, I'm not saying one nationality doing it. I just saying it's disgusting whoever doing it. And it's sad to know that our people get out there and put so much time and effort into the roads, and this is the kind of result that the people pay back, or the people out there cleaning the roads with this kind of result. That is ridiculous. And I mean, I cross numerous amount of times, 3-4 times in the morning, especially. No police car on the street. Like, you can't blame the police because, the police can't be in every spot.
No, man, you're right.
What I'm saying is, if patrolling is on the road, at least they'll have some type of fear, knowing that possibilities they might get catch, or somebody might see them, turn the police back around on them or something.
Right.
But there's no solution, and it actually gets worse.
But to your point, though, maybe just rewind a second. We can't and we shouldn't blame the police. We can't expect the police to be there.
No, we can't.
So, where we need to maybe return to is, as a people, looking out for each other, being our brother's keeper, and ensuring that we have an informed ethos. Now, we have the news break. There's another point you want to mention. Do you want to stay on and join us after, or want us to call you back? Give Susan a number, we'll call you back.
927.
Okay.
6677.
I mean, it's not like you haven't said that like 1,000 times on the air for us, right? 927-6677. All right, she'll call you right back. Cool? All right, thanks, man.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, listen, we got to invest together, All right, stay tuned. We're going to hit the news break. When we come back, opening, salvos, going to be a duet with me and Susan. She's going to sing, and I'm going to clap. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage and its affiliate, the National Youth Commission, have appointed Caymanians Vanessa Burke, Chad Powell Jr., and alternates Destiny Daly and Juan Pablo Valerio as Cayman Islands CARICOM Youth Ambassadors for the 2022-2024 period. In international news, Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered his defense minister to impose a 36-hour ceasefire on the Ukrainian front line beginning on Friday. The ceasefire, scheduled to start at 12 Moscow, collide with the Russian Orthodox Christmas. Mr. Putin asked Ukraine to reciprocate, but Kyiv quickly rejected the request. The Ukrainian presidential advisor said, "Keep hypocrisy to yourself." A London furniture conservator has been credited with a crucial discovery that has helped understand why Ice Age hunter-gatherers drew cave paintings. Ben Bacon analyzed 20,000-year-old markings on the drawings, concluding they could refer to a lunar calendar. It led to a specialist team proving early Europeans made notes about the timing of animals' reproductive cycles. Cave paintings of animals such as reindeer, fish, and cattle have been found in caves across Europe. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott was a quiet-natured child who liked going on the bluff with his grandfather Oscar Brown, swimming every Saturday evening and playing cricket down where Miss Alamay's house sits now. He was very studious at Creek Elementary School and did very well under the tutelage of his favorite teacher, Miss Isley Connolly in BE. Following the tragic death of his father at sea, at age 14 he left school to work with Arnold Foster to support his family. In 1953 he joined his first ship, the Beretta, a local cargo vessel, signing on as deck boy, working his way up to boatswain. From 1953 until 2006, some 52 years, Captain Scott made his living working off the seas.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. It is open line 949-8037 for those who can get onto that. The toll free, well, with a great respect, we do recognize for some there's a challenge, as a number of our callers have shared publicly, and one who just shared just then, trying to call in, it's just not ringing. When it does come in, we'll get it. We have spoken to the techs over at, I still call them Care Wireless, Flow, I'll get there. They're aware, they're working on it, they'll get it resolved. But we did have the good kind gentleman from the back. So welcome back, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was just sitting thinking. I was in. I sort of jet took off just now. Anyways, it. I'm figuring more or less. I now want to really. My father always used to say, "Don't assume." Assumption is not good. It's a false news or lie. So. But I'm thinking that it's probably the Department of Incubants they're taking down. But I wonder if that's what they plan on doing with that building the gentleman we're talking about. I was just sitting thinking, laughing to myself about that. But anything possible around this place, and I tell you what, nothing surprises me anymore. Now, a lot of things anger me, but nothing surprises me anymore. But what I wanted to, the second thing I was telling you about, I wanted to mention was our roads here on the block. From growing up, we walked through the sand roads to the old Colas Road, to the old Barbara Green Road, and finally, after all them years, we finally get good roads. And it was hard to know that they did the roads before the water lines were put in. Pretty much, I think they did the same thing Grand Cayman, or maybe they put down the water line. I don't know what they did there, but up here, they did the roads before they put down the lines. So all of them nice roads are destroyed. They cut up. And it's going to take a long time to resurface all of these roads, the side roads and the main road. One of the concerns that I would like to bring, and I hope someone hearing it with in respect to public works, that the main road on the bluff, the sides of the road there, Sterling, some cars, let's say for instance, a Honda Accord in that size or a Honda Fit, you have holes on the side of that road that if one of them cars go down them holes, you're not going to see it.
Wow.
You ain't going to see it. You ain't going to see the car. You're not going to see that car unless somebody crossing, if the lights are on or something that different. But you have some holes there, Sterling, will blow your mind if you cross in and look over the side there. It's just frightening to know that people are driving, and I see a lot of people come up from Grand Cayman, and they are doing their 40, their 50 miles per hour on that bluff road, and they knows nothing about that bluff road. If a car, like I say, go off the side, pray to God that it goes somewhere where someone can see it. And what I am saying is the material that they're cutting out of the side of the roads to put down the pipeline. Now, don't get me wrong what I'm going to say. This material that they cut out first, they puts it back over till the next morning they come out and start laying pipes. Then they bring in Scott Development with proper material, great stuff to put over the pipes. They don't put back that bad stuff they dig out. That bad stuff now they dig out for the final time. They put aside, load it up. Now, where it go in? A lot of people around here saying that they're selling it. I don't know that. But if I was to know that they were selling it, then I would be more blazing on this radio concern, because it would not be fair to us as the people here on the island. But that material, Sterling, Public Works, the government could get Public Works to take that material and go to the bluff on these deep side shoulders and fill those holes on the side of the shoulders of that road on that bluff. it needs to be done. It's no question asking about how we got do it, Because if they can drag a barge full of sand from this island, they can take a truckload of fill that ain't no good and put down one of them holes. And they can't say about they not got the material because where they're located now is at a watering place. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. It's a turn there. We call it Blacker Turn. And they're at that point going east all the way to Spot Bay. Listen to me, Sterling. From where they are now to where they're going to stop at the end of the road, Spot Bay. If they find a boulder that can fit in the back of my truck between here and there, they can put it in the back of my truck. Because that area has been filled by hurricanes after hurricanes down to the generations. And that area is a lot of sand. The further east they go, the more sand they're going to get. And they're not going to be digging through no rock. And I don't understand why it is that no one has the sense or the common sense to look and see and find out what can we do in order to get this stuff from Water Authority. The government has to pay for it. Well, the government pay for it. I don't know what the agreement with that would be. But try to do something in order to make it seem like they're trying to do something to better this island. That's all the people here are looking for. Because when we don't get something, Sterling, we visualize things quicker because we don't get nothing often, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And little things like this could be done because that bluff is the attraction for people from Grand Cayman, to people from all over the world, to when they come here because they're climbing on that bluff now, and people drive up and go to the lighthouse. And it's like I say, it's really, if you're not familiar with that road and you go to pull over on the side shoulder, you're in trouble. You are in serious trouble. Because if you don't notice where you turn off or turn to the side and you open your door, you step off, you might step in a hole. So these simple little things, simple little things can be dealt with in a fashion of not having to complain, or like me bringing that up. That should have been covered from the time they started digging the road. It would have been finished. Basically, it would have been finished now if they had started.
Now you make me reflect on some of the sentiments you've been expressing recently, but in particular yesterday when you were saying that the issues that we're facing on Grand Cayman and on Cayman Brac, they're not sort of island-wide, country-wide. They're sort of area-specific. And I'm wondering though to what extent, as I listen to you with the whole idea that we have utilities being deployed, infrastructure being developed, the same issues that were shared relative to the roads, for instance, and whether it's the water or whether it's the telecoms. Road is paved, then the allegation is they wait until it's paved until they come and dig it back up to fix whatever or put in whatever. So we seem to be repeating the same sort of approach. Is it then that we can look at it more from a national perspective and say, well, if we got it right here, can we do it better here? If it wasn't so right, can we improve it? Or are we less, shooting in the dark and learning as we go?
The whole issue that falls with that, Sterling, is down through the years, if you reflect back down in West Bay, the roads wasn't that wide. So people boundary was basically right on the edge of the road. Their walls, they were right on the edge of the road. Basically, there wasn't no space. So as buildings keep building, they tend to keep using that space. That means the road can't go no wider. If the roads were wide enough, the sides of the roads were wide enough from people property to the sides of the roads wouldn't have had to been destroyed. You see where I'm coming from now? But by the planning departments, they don't uphold these restrictions with people putting walls right against the wall, which to me is a dangerous thing, because if some of them misuse their hand on the steering wheel, bam, they slam in a solid in a cement wall. These things should not be to the right to the very edge of the street. So it causes the machines, when they're cutting the roads, to go out in the road. The side roads are basically the same problems. So for them to say they're going to come and recover these roads, it's like I say, it's going to take a long time, And I know Grand Cayman had the problem from the beginning. We didn't even had ours touched. When Cayman was constantly getting theirs fixed, cut, fixed, cut. It was going like that. They fix it 1 minute, they cut it the next. And it's going to be that way for a long time because they have to, if they get leaks, they got to dig it back up. And these kind of things is going to create problems for the rest of our life. But for the roads to be, for people to use the roads in a proper manner, they should at least, once they're gone 3 miles ahead, some system should be put in place where the roads authority come behind. And I might be kicking my foot in the mouth right now, or hopefully someone down here may hold grudge against me for saying so. But roads authorities should come behind and start resurfacing back the road in a proper way. We have a lot of spots here in Ireland where they just put the little black stuff on the edge, and if you hit the material, it feels like it wants to pull your car off the road because it's just a temporary fix. And it seems like we'll never be able to get it back to how it was. It's going to take a long time, but it seems like we need it now. And if you look as far down to the western part of the island where they started coming up, a lot of places still haven't been fixed. So when are they going to start there in order to get across where I live or go up to the further end? Because remember now, they got to go on the south side and they got to go on the bluff, which is going to take a lot of years to cover that whole area. But to know that it seems like they can't get nothing put together properly in order for the island to flow in a decent fashion and make it look a little more presentable than what it look right now. Because basically, if you look at the size of the road, they just look like they're cutting up and digging up and making a mess. It doesn't look like work that's supposed to be done by professionals. That's my take on it.
Now, as I listen, I think that's sometimes the challenge that we, as you said, as non-professionals, just road users and casual observers may be inclined to come away with. But I wonder if at the end of the day, sometimes if the instructions received by those who are contracting something are clear, and are they clearly communicated to the people who are expected to supervise the work, and even more so now, clearly and concisely given to those who are actually doing the work. So again, are we learning from what we've done, and are we trying to do it in the most cost-effective, efficient way?
We need to hope that we can get people with foresight, because it seemed like I know my father said when common sense was handed down, there are a few in line, but it seemed like people doesn't have foresight anymore, Sterling, when they do any type of work around the place anymore. Because I've been through it all, basically, and I'm a perfectionist, and it grieves me to see work that should be done properly not done even halfway. And like I said, why pile up this pile of stuff on the sides of the roads? Why not fix the roads properly? Like for the Christmas time, the roads was cut up and destroyed and just left like that for the Christmas time. One of the things that came to my mind, Sterling, I prayed many nights upon it, that no one speed on that road, especially going towards Watering Place area around that bin where they just fixed.
Wow.
Because the sand and the dust, Susan will know exactly what I'm talking about, right by Lurleen turn. And the sun and the dust was on that turn. And it so happened that they went there with a truck and tried to wash it off. Basically what they done, they washed more onto the street. In Sterling, I tell you honestly, one rain came one night and that road was clean the next morning. And it happened that nobody lost their life around that bin.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. And these things, that area, especially Sterling, should have been fixed during that holiday break that people up here drinking and enjoying themselves or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Because you know how life goes. So it's just something that people need to stop and take stock of.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, right? I appreciate you praying. I appreciate you sharing those concerns, right? But I saw something last couple of days that just feel moved to share, because I think it's good, and I would like to commend them, Mr. Chet and his crew over at the water company. Irrespective of what we might think of management and utilities and monopolies, but sometimes their employees, the staff that we deal with are fantastic, right?
Yeah.
They're digging, up a space, doing whatever work, and at the end of the day, I've actually seen them do this. Take a big push broom and clean up the debris, the sand, and but for the cones and obviously some work is happening. The site is left amazing. This is on a main thoroughfare,
Yes.
So that's pride, and that's a very professional practice, but it also, I think, makes the space that much safer. So it can be done if the people doing it are of that caliber. But then that could be, they can recall it in chat as well, right?
That's true. Yeah, I'm not taking nothing from them. They're doing their best, but like I say, they mop up part of the innovate. Because being a firefighter, we always believed in mopping up. That's what they call it at the end.
And
if you didn't have that mop up properly done, it meant to say something. The scene just don't seem like it's been covered. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And to know that they do their job, yes, but like I said, little things that they're overlooking could be done in a proper fashion. That we back up and running the tours and everything else. So that's basically what I'm saying.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And
no problem.
You call and share. We always listen, man. Thank you very much. All right.
I appreciate it, man.
All right. All the best for the day.
All right. All the best.
All the best. 8949-8037. I know a couple of you have said, man, I can't get through no matter what I call. Well, I give you, our public number, 949-8037, 949-6990. I'm wondering if they dial it, 1-800, very slowly, 534, slower still, 8255. If that would make a difference. I know some of you have shared that if you called, you may get a record and say, well, if you stay on, you can pay. Some of you don't get anything at all. It just rings. But we're here. We'll answer when we see it. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
I'm highly favored. How are you?
Highly favored too. Glad to be alive.
Amen. And as the caller just referenced you, and he commends you, and so do we. So thank you for making time for us.
Okay, thanks. We was talking about the roads and so much more. Sterling, less than a month ago, was up on the Kaibo, and they did the new surfing on the Kaibo Road, going down. Beautiful road, and they put the speed bumps in. So I went up there just a couple of days ago, and believe me, it looks like, I could be wrong, it looks like water authority gone in there now to do some piping and so forth. The only what I can understand is that road wasn't capped, now it's capped, and they gone in and digging up the road to do their thing with, I guess, water lines and so forth. And I know that road not going to get fixed back the way it is when these guys first came in there and did their job. And it is so unfair to know that when we put down these good roads, that these other companies have to come in, dig them up, and do not get them fixed back in a proper manner. Because, sir, let me tell you something. Nobody, I think sometimes that people don't realize how much damage these roads do to our vehicles,
You might be right.
These roads does a lot of damage to our roads and to our cars. And Sterling, when I look at on a 7-mile stretch there, how bad that road is on Eastern Avenue, and need to be fixed. And we got so many new roads opening here, left, right, and center, but the old ones just can't seem to get fixed in a proper manner that is being used so regular to a degree. You understand? All the roads are being used, but some roads have higher volume of traffic on it than other roads. You understand? And Sterling, over there by the North Terminal, right there where Margaritaville is, that is closed down now, and downstairs was Allen Companies. When they was doing that pedestrian road there now called Carnon Avenue, They're gone and put about, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 parks in the front of Margaritaville. People can park their cars there. And you got these 30-seater buses trying to swing out of North Terminal to go to the left, to the right. And these cars are up in your face. I don't know who idea that was to put car parking there for 4 to 6 vehicles, knowing that at North Terminal got these big buses coming and going in there when the cruise ships are in. You really have to drive through town to see what it looks like, Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I don't know who did that planning for that, but it was very stupid. I use the word stupid. Now they say that Cardinal Avenue was going to be a pedestrian. I understood all the way through. Now they came back and it look like, I could be wrong, and they got you coming now from the Battlefield Bank by the Assembly Building. You can still come through there and cut and go back down to the post office. So what about the pedestrians who's supposed to be walking down this road, and the visitors, they just take their sweet time and walk, and they're probably not expecting no vehicles to be coming through there when they say that this is a pedestrian walkway or whatever they want to call it. And then again, these towels that they got down there, these stones they got down there are so fancy. What's going to happen when you got cars coming out there that is dropping oil on these stones? Are they going to have to go and replace those stones later? If they're going to make that a half pedestrian and half motorist, that's crazy. Very crazy. Very crazy. But that's just my opinion. Sometimes our opinion don't count. Sterling, I was talking to you a couple of days ago in regards to passengers in cruise ship and the taxi drivers going to the Royal to pick up the passengers. Like I said before, because say, for example, they got 6 tour and 6 beach. Everybody could go onto the terminal and call for their people. Now, since this new government came in, now they got two tour and 2 beach going up to get their people. And all those buses that behind have to wait until those 4 come down before another 4 go up. Starting those cruise ships are not here overnight, and if they even here for overnight, after 5 o'clock, everything is closed downtown Georgetown. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why and who came up with that idea to send 4 people at a time to do their pickup at the Royal Pier when you could say roughly 6 and 6 or 8 and 8 or whatever the case may have been. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Do not have the time to be able to get a customer with the time that they're giving you to go on to get your people. You understand where I'm coming from? It is crazy, Sterling, and all we do is get all these rules and regulations, but they only implement to some people. And they say that they're here for the Caymanians. How the Caymanians going to survive with 2 tour going on and 2 beach going on when you got over 30 odd numbers being pulled at the up in the bush, we call it, on a daily basis, plus other taxis that come off the road that didn't go to pull a number that got to be going back and forth. You spend sometimes all 3 and 4 hours waiting just to get called down to the port. And then when you go down, you got to wait again until who's on the grounds until they come up before you can go in. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. As I listen to you, I mean, I'm wondering increasingly as you share, thinking back to conversations over the years, in particular in relation to some of the revitalization initiatives for Georgetown specifically, and going back to, hopefully I say his name correctly, Andreas Dwayne, a famous urban planner that was used by the Commander Group, who did Seaside, that's shared that oftentimes in developments we're increasingly making the vehicle that thing that takes precedence as opposed to the pedestrian. And so when we're building structures, when we're putting in roads and the like, we don't consider the safety. We make roads wider and hopefully engineer them better, but then does it make them safer? Is the pedestrian able to walk on the sidewalks or even walk on the road or cross the street? So is it that we have too many cars, or is it we have too many errant drivers, or is it that we don't have roads that are properly sort of integrated with the pedestrian, or the pedestrian into the road?
Sterling, that's a good question. I was told the other day that the drivers need to be patient. How can you be patient on such a small island with so many vehicles and everybody's in a hurry and going nowhere to a degree? If you know you got to be somewhere for 9 o'clock, you don't wait until 9 o'clock to leave home and expect to come on and kill people to get where you want to go. And talking about the pedestrians, I heard OC saying that some person got to make some more signs for our roads. Let me tell you something. We can make signs so God come. These signs mean nothing to people when they are ready, not to use their indicators, and the pedestrian to use properly. Sterling, if there are going to be signs made up, they need to put some signs by these pedestrian crossing that we have here in this island, because people think that because it's a pedestrian that they can walk out in the front of you and you're already half across the pedestrian and you're supposed to stop in a car behind you to let them cross. That is not how pedestrian is supposed to be used, I would think. We just saw some people here that just don't give a rat. They just come out of woodworks. You know what a lady did to me a couple of days ago at the gas station? Lady walked twice in the front of me with my car moving. And I had to say to that lady, I said, let me ask you a question. Did you ever walk in your country? Yeah, yes, I did. I do walk in my country. I said, well, you walk in here, but you ain't looking where you're going. Why you keep walking into my car? Why am I going to be the one to extra protect you when you should be protecting yourself as well, too, when you see these vehicles are moving? And this is in a gas station. You know? And Sterling, I'm going to let you go. I just want to say that this cruise ship that we so depend on business for this island, Sterling, let me tell you something. I give this business another 10 years, and if we get 2 boats a month, we good. Because Sterling, Cayman needs to wake up and stop making tourism be our pillow. Because Sterling, we got more and more drivers out here, and there's no work for these drivers out here half the time. We got a lot of pre-booked buses parked up at the Royal, and then they got the regular taxis up at the compound, which is we call up in the bush, up at the compound waiting to go down. And Sterling, I said before and I say it again, all those pre-booked buses that have their customers already, they should be the one up at the compound waiting to be called down, because their money is guaranteed and their people is guaranteed. When you got to take about 25 minutes some days to get from the bush to the port, your people is gone. They say, I ain't not got time for this. But nobody has a vision. And
so is
vision,
it?
Go ahead.
Sorry. So is it the other way then, that because I was just as you were listening, I was actually looking back to a message someone was sharing, and I think I found it. And their view, as they shared with me, was that space where the taxis were parking were for the pre-booked passengers to be someone, but you're saying it's the other way around. The ones that have pre-booking.
Sterling? The pre-booked buses,
yeah,
they have more space on the dock than the regular taxis has. They got more space. They got tons of pre-booked buses out there, and they got the majority of the port comparing to the regular taxi drivers. The taxi drivers' fill space is very limited. It's very limited. And what I have to say, like I said, they should be going up there waiting to come down to get their people, because it's already guaranteed. They're already paid for. They come down and pick up their people. And if a regular taxi goes to do a drop-off, they got to go back to the compound to get back on the list to be sent back down, the pre-book can drive back into the port and get their next set of pre-book people and go about their business. We are the, excuse my friends, we are the suckers that they're punishing to make an honest dollar. And when they say that they're there for the Caymanians, let me tell you something. It ain't nobody here for the Caymanian but the Caymanian themselves. And if the Caymanians do not come together, there will be no tax business for the few Caymanians who left, because then the pre-booking is in control. They have one boat to this sterling, and there's over 1,000 and change on that boat, and 95% of that boat was pre-booked, and taxes came out there and got absolutely nothing. Now you can tell me you can take care of your Caymanians when you run for election or when you get your position. We not no idiots. But the thing with we little idiots, I call myself personally an idiot, we do not have anyone to stand up with us. And if you get 5 taxis to stand up with you, and by the time you get to where we're going to do the whatever, 4 step out, and you got one standing by themselves.
Wow.
By themselves, Sterling.
That's, something we need to work on, yeah? Come together.
Definitely, definitely.
This is the year for it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Take
All
care.
right, you too.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's pause. Let's take that quick break. When we come back, let's see who gets through. It's almost like that's a challenge in itself. Perseverance and persistence pays off. They're great profits for those who press on. 949-837, 949-6990. Call. We want to hear from you.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From the MedLab family to yours, have a safe and blessed 2023.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. I know you think it's Friday. I think so too. But it's still one day shy. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I am so grateful. It's not fair.
No, hey, listen, you deserve it. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
Okay. Dwayne, I got so much on my craw.
Well, let's unpack it for you.
Oh, dear. It would take you the rest of your show. But anyway, I want to start by saying, first of all, so grateful that God allowed me to wake up to see another day.
Amen.
And the changing of a year. Although I don't look at it that way, I just look at it as another day. I'm grateful for the one that passed, regardless of what it might have been. Giving thanks. But I was wondering if our government, I don't know who's in charge of that section, if they plan to do anything at all about all of these wild chickens and wild cats that we have that are taking over our, I can say houses, because not yards anymore. Because the way they're behaving now, I'm starting to become afraid of them. Because, they don't run from you anymore. They're just standing up, and asking you, who the hell you think you are.
But see, the chickens probably see what's going on and decide to take a stand, huh? Maybe we can take a page.
Well, I don't know if this makes sense to anybody else, but I'm going to say this. I think that these chickens have been eating the garbage for so long. I believe that they have now become mutated, and they're not, chickens that are passive anymore. That's going to run from you. Like I said, they're now standing. I am being honest. I am becoming afraid of them because the way that they're behaving is as if they want to be attacking you now.
And I hope people take it on board, because I've heard others share something similar, but also with the green iguana, there was a belief that you kind of motion towards them and they'll discover. And a few people have said they've actually turned and come towards them. So there might be something in the air. I mean, you never know.
Well, the same way that after 18, 19 years, they realized it had become necessary to start culling the iguanas. They really need to give some consideration to what they're going to do about these chickens. And they don't have to cull them, because they can actually catch them and make use of them. The other thing that I keep noticing, which is rather disheartening and embarrassing to me, is that, we sell our country as such a rich country, and no poverty, no this, no that. Yet, you got tourists that come here, and they take pictures of the chickens who are dominating the parking lots and, basically fighting people for their food and stuff like that. I'm sorry. You only see that kind of stuff in a third world country. So that really needs to be paid attention to. It's not a good sell, okay? Because any tourists that come here and the only picture that they feel they should post is that kind of stuff, then you tell me what the intentions might be. Right? Anywhere that I have traveled, I like to post pictures of the beautiful scenery or whatever. Something beautiful, something positive, not the downside. And if this is not embarrassing to our government, and I say our government because they govern the country. I'm not saying the people. We have elected them. And if they don't find this embarrassing, tell me what will. Huh? I mean, in the night, there's a section of my street, maybe 6 feet away from my gate, where the cats congregate in the road. You can't drive past the road without running over one day, okay? And then they're taking over your yard, taking over your car, Like I said, they seem, their whole attitude and everything seems to have changed as well. So they need to do something about it. When people start dealing with it themselves, I'm sure you can hear in my background, okay? When people start dealing with it themselves, then they can want to start arresting people for animal cruelty. So what are people supposed to do? I don't see these chickens even scratching anymore. They are just going directly for your fruits. And I know no one is going to believe this. They actually picked my breadfruit off of my tree, okay? We've never seen that before. So something has to be going on here. To get anything from the trees, you got to be like bulldogs, You got to sit up all night watching and then fighting them off to get something from the tree. So I really, really hope that, they put some time into this, give it some serious consideration, because not only has it become a nuisance to us, It is disgraceful and embarrassing to our island. There is nowhere on this island that you go that the chickens haven't dominated that area. Whether it be a parking lot, the beach, wherever.
It's something that I think, as you shared, we shouldn't continue to ignore.
Anyway, I got one more thing to say.
All right.
And that's regarding Cayman Airways.
Okay.
I noticed that they have now increased the luggage fees, which will become, I think it's effective 1st of February. I remember when it was increased from 2 pieces of free luggage to charging you for your luggage. And I spoke about it, and I said, I don't know whose idea it was, but to me, it did not make sense. It wasn't a good marketing tool, because what made Cayman Airways very attractive and separated us from the other airlines was the fact that the luggage was free. The tickets are already more expensive. So you then introduce a charge on all the luggage. Why not start out then and say, okay, we'll give you the first piece for free. You pay for the second piece, third piece, and onwards.
Right.
Now, instead of addressing that, you're going to move from that. The tickets have increased, and now you're also going to increase the luggage fees. How does that make us attractive when the other airlines are selling their tickets cheaper, whether they're charging for luggage or not? The way people see it, they don't really care about the luggage charge, as long as they can buy the ticket for $100 less. Everybody drives. So they fly into Fort Lauderdale and drive down to Miami. That's the ticket that Cayman Airways lost. Okay? So what is it then that you think you're doing to attract people to fly Cayman Airways? They would never get to know our airline, the hospitality that they get on board, if they don't first buy that ticket. If another airline is selling them a ticket cheaper, they're going for that. Furthermore, we got lots of patients flying to Miami for medical purposes. Could there not be some consideration for them that you say, okay, we're going to waive their piece of luggage? They already got to be struggling to get up on that ramp, which is more dangerous than the stairs because we don't have jetways. And then when it's raining, you got to get wet going out there regardless of what condition you're in. I mean, who is it that we're trying to attract here? Huh? We're not gaining, we're losing. I don't know whose idea it is, but I can say this. As a person that flies Cayman Airways, I'm proud of my airline, proud that we have our national carrier. But if it's not managed right, and if the marketing is not right, that won't last very long. And that would be a shame.
Well, hopefully people are listening, and you always share things that are insightful and from a perspective. So, hey, thanks very much, all right?
Okay.
All right, talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye. All right, quick little break, and when we come back, I want to hear more from you. So please join us after the break.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From the MedLab family to yours, have a safe and blessed 2023.
Cybercrime happens online or through the technology we use every day. Anyone can be a victim of cybercrime, whether you are a young person being bullied or harassed online, or an older person or business who's been scammed out of money or personal data. Cybercrime is an issue that touches all of us. The Cayman Islands government has therefore created an online resource to help keep you cyber safe in an ever-changing world.
In online situations, it is better to be cyber safe than sorry. Learn now to protect yourself against cybercrime. Visit gov.ky/cybersafe.
Country
classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
country
classics.
Young love, first love. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country
classics.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for calling. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us as we invite you to be a part of a discussion. You know, to the number of callers, a few have weighed in. As we were talking about the chickens early in the week, and suggestions were made. Well, is it a way to collect all the, as the last caller just shared, don't just destroy them, don't cull them. They can be useful. They might be. A few of the callers yesterday, the day before, were also referencing, maybe it's a future source of protein and the like. One shared again, about the chickens. Why do all of us who are talking about them and see a problem, can we build a coop, catch them up, purge them, and use them? I was looking for a message that came in, I think the day before, that suggested that we make it part of a national initiative. I could help to teach. I'll try to find it and read it again if I can. About agriculture. It may allow more of us to appreciate, not only our food source, but the necessary things to be able to survive. The meat itself, as well as the eggs, and whether we use it on government properties, whether we do in partnerships with the schools. Some churches, I think, their message may have asked to consider being a part of it through their food pantries, perhaps as part of a probation initiative, a prison rehabilitation. So there are many things. This is the message weighed in relation to Cayman Airways, and wanted to know, sort of what are the charges, how are they different, and maybe Cayman Airways is as competitive. This one says, I was charged $20 for each piece of luggage over the Christmas, probably depending on the time of day, the manager and the staff and the like. But standardization and cost competitiveness, how can Cayman Airways remain competitive, profitable, and position itself so that it continues to build its brand loyalty, satisfies its customers, and recognize that there are many of us who will fly Cayman Airways because it is Cayman Airways. But there are some who would say, well, my destination is going here, and it's more cost effective to go this route with this airline, so that'll be the one we'll take. It's depending on the individual. All right. Here is a message that we wanted to share again. Don't think we got through it properly yesterday as it came through later in the day. We're talking about the littering and the like. And I share this to perhaps find the other message that just came through as well. Says, thanks for mentioning the growing litter problem seen in Cayman. It's a disgrace and should not be accepted by any Caymanian worth his salt. It is time for accountability. Government must use social media, signage, and any other means of communication at its disposal to send a strong message to the public that it is not acceptable to litter and make the public aware of the penalties for littering. It is time for accountability. And when we looked at that message, there was one that shared how it seems to be just accepted. Whether it's the cars that are discarded, as one of the callers earlier said, they don't drop out of the sky. They don't, sort of magically appear out of the ground. Somebody must see them. Surely it's happening. And yet vehicles are left. I wouldn't want to say discarded just yet. Just abandoned perhaps along the sides of the road. Sometimes from the photos that we've seen, and even as drivers or passengers in the vehicles on or in or out of the roundabouts, on corners, partway in the road, just left there. And many of us drive by. Now, whose responsibility, if any, is it? Some have asked, well, it's the police. That vehicle is an impediment, potential danger to other road users. Can it be towed? The person ticketed. Is there a need for a different type of fine, not just a monetary fine? Now, many have shared, well, it seems to be an issue that if a vehicle is sold but it's still in the name of the owner, who's responsible? Or further, some would say, well, there is no license plate on the vehicle, so we don't know. Well, don't vehicles have the VIN number? What is that? The vehicle identification number. We want to issue digital IDs, and some would put chips in their children and their pets. The vehicle, unless it's removed, has this number that's been imprinted on the chassis somewhere or near the windscreen somewhere in the vehicle by the manufacturer. When it's registered at the Department of Motor Vehicles or driver licensing, we have it there attached to the vehicle. Presumably, it used to be that you were required whenever you change the color of the vehicle that you notify. It used to be a white, car. Now it's, blue. You would update your vehicle registration with the requisite, department. What is happening? And I shared that to share that in that last message, the individual talked about accountability. Accountability by whom and to whom and for whom and why. And maybe it's like many things, we're not paying attention. The gentleman who called earlier and said it almost as if people take their household garbage bags and as they're driving, they just toss it out. Perhaps, as one caller early in the week had shared, it's not even that they inadvertently, but perhaps deliberately and maliciously, take up the garbage and just toss it all along the roadway. If you ever a part of any cleanup initiative, whether as part of your church group, your community group, your civic organization, your service club, maybe just something that you do as you walk, as many do. They'll go out and they'll take their exercise, or they'll take the dog for a stroll, and they'll carry a little bag and they'll pick up, as they go along their pretty much, normal route. Now, for whatever reason that may inspire people to do that, we commend them for having that sense of humility and service. But it's not something that should be necessary if all of us were to be better stewards. Now, if it is that we are doing, the littering out of, we don't know any better, perhaps we can instruct people. If it's because we're just vindictive, malicious, mean, nasty, as the tourism minister said, nasty people, what do we do about it? How do we address that? Well, let us hear from you. 949-8037. 949-6990. 1-800-534-8255. And of course, you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts with us. It's only Thursday, and this is, just a few days into the month of January, and all of us are excited. Some of us are exhausted. Some of us are going, you know what? This is what I plan to do next year. Well, I pray that you get to do it and that you'll enjoy it, and it'll be safe and healthy and rewarding. But what are you planning to do this afternoon and tomorrow? And maybe you're like many of us who will put off today because we're committed to a sense of sacrifice. We're going to, of the perspective that we are save for a rainy day, and I think that is commendable. But something that a few of you have asked recently, and maybe perhaps it's just applies to some of us. Well, what are you, waiting for to do that next thing? And it's not that you're procrastinating. You're being very cautious and deliberate. You're being practical. You're making the necessary sacrifice so that you're saving for a rainy day, as it were. And that is, I think, commendable. But as the country song says, everybody should live as if they were dying, and appreciate the moment, embrace the now, be respectful of the past, be hopefully expectant of the future, but give of yourself and of your time, your talent, your treasure, of your service to the now. So, are there things in that vein that you plan to do to make your life better, and hopefully the lives of those that matter to you? All right, I'm going to pause and take a break, and wouldn't mind being, on your console so you can share with us. As we pause, please join us after the break.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. In the forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the low 70s Fahrenheit. Winds will be northeasterly at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. In international news, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a new plan to accept up to 30,000 migrants each month in a bid to tackle the border crisis. Authorities will also expand expulsions under Title 42, a controversial Trump-era policy that has blocked thousands at the U.S.-Mexico border. The new policy will apply to asylum seekers from Cuba, Nicaragua, Haiti, and Venezuela. It is modeled on existing programs for Venezuelans and Ukrainians. Amazon plans to cut more than 18,000 jobs, the largest number in the firm's history, as it battles to save costs. The online giant, which employs 1.5 million people globally, did not say which countries the job cuts would hit, but said they would include Europe. Most of the job losses will come from its consumer retail business and its human resources division. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990. If you can access those, please give us a shout and share your thoughts. Or you can do as a few of these others have done and use our WhatsApp, 925-3261, and invite you to, give us your perspective. This quick call during the break, we were talking about beach accesses yesterday. And the caller, understandably, I think for some reasons, shared, don't necessarily want to go on the radio, but I would like to mention something. And it's not just about beach access. It's, about sometimes access in certain places or feeling welcome. And as the person shared, I realized that I'm familiar with where they were talking about and may have had somewhat of a similar experience and wanted to perhaps inquire further from another individual. And I'll make sure that it wasn't just something, just unfortunate, or whether it was. I'll ask you, and then I'll figure it out, and then maybe come back and share more. But has anyone had the unfortunate experience, as I would describe it, as the last caller off air who shared with me, who went to a particular business establishment, and on one occasion, thought, well, it's probably understandably, things are busy, and was given a less than a warm reception, to put it that way. returned again, and the reception was even less warm. And then thought, it just can't be. It must be the time of day. And returned a third time, only to come away with a perspective that, I don't feel like I'm actually welcome here. Now, this individual, even though it was quick, shared the sentiments and rushed through, and had given that same sort of experience to us prior. And I thought, no, that can't be. Not in Cayman. People are not being treated that way. You go to a business establishment and you're a paying customer, and as such, you get service. You get sold the product. It's not an issue. It doesn't matter who you are. Well, that individual that called off here said, well, lo and behold, I did it a fourth time. They had told us about the other three privately, and did it a fourth time. It's Christmas. Everybody wants business over Christmas, only to have been given a less than cheerful Christmas welcome. I'm going to look into it. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon.
Sterling.
Oh, welcome back.
Yes, I had to call you back because in these last couple of weeks, I been trying to get back in the taxi business, and I went to several different local businesses with the visitors. And let me tell you something. The customer service was terrible. The customers recognized it. And the driver, me as a driver, was not even acknowledged the fact of saying, thank you for bringing these guys to our business, our location. I'm not looking at anything from them, but I thank you. And to acknowledge, this gentleman bought a bottle of liquor for $300, and he was told he can carry it on to the boat with him. So he just puts the liquor into a bag, one of the business bags. That's a regular shopping bag. So I said to the owner, I said, ain't you going to wrap it in some bubble wrap? Oh, I don't have any. Now, this man has bought a $300 bottle of liquor. For real. And it wasn't going to be shipped to the boat. He was going to take it aboard. The man was told that he can carry his liquor to the boat, which I don't know anything about. But anyhow, the wife and the husband, when they got outside, they said that they were really disappointed in the customer service that they got from this liquor store that they went to. And also, we went up to Prospect, and the salesperson up there was very cool. If I call the name, you'll know who it is. I will not call the name, but us in Prospect. And they went there and tried different flavors of their beers, and they didn't know they had to pay for it. It was all samples, was all free. And then the owner of the business was very cool. Didn't say, well, thank you for bringing the guys so far out here for us. We appreciate you, and blah, blah, blah. I love customer service, knowing that we were closed down for 2 years, and the ships are coming back in here like the 4s and 5s now and so forth. And like I said, I'm not expecting anything but a little appreciation to bring these guys to their location. The customer didn't feel that they were acknowledged the right way as a buying person. And me as a service given to them didn't feel that I was appreciated, and I was there to say that, thank you, driver, thank you. The customer service out here is really stink. And Sterling, I said out of 10 years, if we get 2 cruise ship a week, we're lucky. Cayman better wake up. They better wake up. That's all I'm going to say to you right now, honey.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And
Bye-bye.
have a good afternoon. And as the caller, reminds us, it's not just pretense. You have to genuinely feel it. You have to understand sometimes that you may not necessarily, feel physically able to go to work, to do your job, I would have ventured many of us like that for different reasons. But you have the job to do. You do it with pride and dignity and respect, and you understand that what is it you're doing is important. It needs to be done, and others are dependent on it. It affects the lives of others. You may be the person that holds the door open. You may be the person that hands the scalpel, to the sculptor or the surgeon. You may be the individual that drives them somewhere. Everything we do it with pride and with respect. We'll do it that much better. We can find joy in it. So, as I asked prior, let's share with you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. One of our listeners was asking, perhaps it's time that people start to name these businesses and call them out. We seem to be unwilling to hold people accountable. Let's read this other WhatsApp, and you can share your thoughts as well. 925-3261. This one says, Cayman Airways, really needs to have another look into the Fort Lauderdale route. Much like the previous caller, as much as I do like and want to use Cayman Airways, I have to look at it realistically. My ticket to Fort Lauderdale is cheaper, and I get 2 bags free. My biggest issue is the massive time wasted in the Miami airport with immigration. I can fly into the Fort Lauderdale airport, drive to the Miami airport, and with very good odds, I'll probably get there at the same time as the traveler on Cayman Airways that's going to Miami, but much less frustrated. Now, is that the case? The immigration part on the other end, well, may not necessarily be something that we can address on this side, or is it? The terminal that we use, I've had friends and family who have traveled in recent weeks, and as I think one said, it's the old terminal that Cayman Airways sort of, was departing from or flying into in the Miami area. What are we doing? Are we looking at, not just as this caller says, strategically, the routes that we're using? I had a very good gentleman share just over Christmas. He hearkened with great fondness the days that Cayman Airways would fly into Houston. Now maybe that's not a viable route. Maybe Texas isn't the place to be, or maybe it's Dallas-Fort Worth or somewhere else. Not an aviation expert, but given the great sense of loyalty we have towards Cayman Airways and the incredible respect we have for the staff, we hold our heads high with pride to know, from the pilots to the maintenance team to all of the staff. But we know we can and should be, like the last caller shared, not just offer up stellar customer service, but that warm Cayman hospitality. If, for instance, you were going on an airline, you go to the airport, you get to the counter, the person there, no matter which country you're in, that person doesn't necessarily make you feel, hey, thanks for you choosing this airline, come on board, I want to have a good flight, we're going to check in, there are certain safety things that we need to follow, and they need to satisfy sometimes some things that they may not understand or seem to make sense, but if they don't, there may be some consequence. So we all play along, and we want a safe trip at the end of the day. But that safety doesn't have to come at the expense of a smile. Now, if you're in a Cayman context and you go up to the counter and you can't relate to the people that on the other end are serving you, perhaps there is an open hostility, a bias, a prejudice, a begrudge. No company, I think, would want that, for their sort of corporate image. No company necessarily would, how should we put it, would expect that sort of behavior would be rewarded or become the cultural ethos. And what is it that I think was the quote attributed to Steve Jobs? Politics will probably destroy an organization, but good work ethic and creative ideas, will make the organization great. What ethos are we inculcating in our organizations, from the corporate entities, public or private, to your own sort of, individual sole proprietor? Are you exhibiting that level of competence, professionalism, the confidence that your customers would have in your product and your service? All right, we're going to find a little break for this wonderful Thursday afternoon. When we come back, what would be the question of the day, Miss Susan? I'm thinking of something. I was just wondering, maybe you'll remind me. We look at businesses, right? And we see things and we go, oh, but that must obviously be this kind of business. Or is it? I bet you'd be intrigued to know what I'm talking about. Are you? Well, stay tuned. And maybe you might be so inclined that you might say, I'm going to preempt what you're going to share, and I bet you this is what you're talking about. Want to read my line? Well, join me after the break.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce. All piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From the MedLab family to yours, have a safe and blessed 2023.
Freedom, Cayman Rock. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. Toll free for some, not so for others. But WhatsApp 925-3261, and you can call and share your thought with us. Thanks very much for engaging, for the number of messages that came through earlier from individuals who were saying, well, it's the start of the year. What's the tone that we're going to set? What is the expectations? Are we going to continue to reward mediocrity and expect, the level of insolence that we receive when we are engaged in businesses? Are we going to reward the incompetence, and are we going to turn a blind eye to the things? One listener sent through a message, and I opened it, but it's a little bit longer, the link, than I had time during the break. But a quick sort of cursory review. It's sort of an article that I think I may have seen many years ago. And it has a couple of quotes from names like Drucker and the like that I recognize. And they're talking about approaches. It's scrolling quickly, and it's seemed to be evidencing companies that were renowned with customer service, Disney and the like. But the point that jumped out at me is in the person's message is that many of these companies may have been wonderful examples back then, but not necessarily today. And if, again, very, very, very quick overview of what was shared, if I picked up on what the person was putting down, as they say, it's now asking, well, do we now need to step away from some of these companies and no longer use them as the benchmark? Because perhaps their value systems have changed. Perhaps they're being forced, for whatever reason, to rethink their cultural philosophy. Well, maybe I'll share that by sharing this. As I went into the break, I said to you, you can probably tell businesses by, what goes on. A fellow said, he was visiting and young sort of students in the class, and asking them about their career choices and the like, and trying to motivate them. Little precocious Peter, he steps up and he says, but it's interesting. You go to the hairdresser, the barber, the beauty salon, and the like, and you can see on the ground there's hair. So no question, that's what's going on there. If you go to a car wash, you'll see very much, the same thing, water everywhere. The suds and the soapiness of the water. This is potentially a car wash. Likewise, the garage, you'll notice the oil and the like. But how come is it that when we go to banks, there's no money laying around on the floor? What do you think about that, Miss Susan? Interesting, huh? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, one other comment from one of our listeners who sharing the view that it's not always possible to sort of anticipate what people will or won't do, but this listener shared that it would seem that repeatedly in Cayman we are prone to doing the same thing and expecting a different result. This listener sent some pictures back of the beach, and not just I can't tell, I would not have been able to tell had the listener not sort of identified, but some of the properties are along 7 Mile Beach, but a few pictures are on the other end of the island, and is suggesting that we have many properties now that are being built what would appear to be very, very close to the water. The person is asking if we were building years ago, and we're concerned that those structures are close to the water now and impacting the coastline, why are we still continuing? Now, I messaged back to ask, other jurisdictions, you can build right over the water. You can cantilever your building. You can actually build in the water. Is that something that we should also, allow to happen here? Well, let me ask you, what do you think about that? Not only the proposals that may have come over the years to build within the shallow bays in our sounds and along our shorelines, but what if you, were able to build, whether it's the beach or the iron shore, and you cantilever your structure out over the water, so that when you walk out, if there wasn't some sort of barricade through a window or a door or otherwise, you would just be able to go straight into the sea. It would probably architecturally and from an engineering perspective be a wonderful feat. It might even offer up some unimpeded views. Now, what would that do for the other properties, and what would that do for potentially the insurance claims and the like? Well, that's another discussion. But how do you feel, or do you think, as the listener responded and suggesting that these sort of buildings on or near or in the water perhaps are only a short-term sort of satisfaction for someone's ego, as opposed to a significant benefit to society? This same listener shared that in traveling to another jurisdiction, there are certain properties on the coast where you can't, like we do in Cayman, walk near. You can't walk behind them, even though they may necessarily be on a higher elevation, or you can't walk past them because of how it's been sort of fenced and the like. And ask, is that what we are expecting to happen to Cayman? Is that what we are by default allowing to happen without addressing it. And then the final point from a senior listener is the notion that we think the answer to the increased traffic congestion is to build more roads or to restrict cars. This person suggests a few things that might allow that issue to be at least given a little bit more time before it becomes ever more critical. And it is one, the person shares, the government not just incentivize and use proper public transportation, but two, give some sort of concession to encourage people to carpool. And if you register your car, and because of if I read it correctly, what this person has shared, if you have this electronic license plate that can track it, and your car on a certain percentage of the month has more than 2 passengers, then you qualify for a particular discount on something. Or if it has more than 3, or if it has 4 or more, you get higher discounts. And that way the person is thinking that may allow many to carpool. Now, whether that is implemented, whether it's enforced, whether it can be properly monitored, well, the person says again, let's think. Alright, some great suggestions, some opportunities for people to recognize and appreciate that some ideas may fall in their affairs, some ideas may be immediately discarded, some may actually be mulled over and said, you know what, not really a good idea, but it encourages others to think, and somehow, somewhere, at some point, something sensible may actually surprise and surface. Well, if we don't have the courage and the invitation to share thought, we may all find ourselves in a space of just being mute and unwilling to share. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Let's share this other sentiment from one of our listeners. This person writes, so we're not other countries. We need to stop comparing Cayman to the rest of the world. They build and develop according to what they can accommodate. Cayman has to do what's sensible and feasible to Cayman. Simply put, apply common sense, although it's not so common. And I appreciate this listener sharing that perspective, because I think in reading that and reflecting on what we shared from some of the listeners, we seem to want to copy and paste what's here, or we seem to be unwilling to share, wait a minute, this is Cayman, let's do it a little bit differently to fit with our cultural ethos. Let's not be unwilling or afraid to say, well, it's not going to be something that we'll accept here, even though it may be a practice that others might choose. But it seems, and I hope he doesn't mind, but a good friend has shared a few times with us. He says, it seems that in this country we've adopted the mindset that if something isn't good, if it's a product, not only are we going to order 2 or 3 or 4 of them, but we're going to pay 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 times more than it would normally cost. A bad thing, we want plenty of it and we're going to pay excessively for it. A good thing, we're going to ignore it and pretend that we don't know it. Now, if that is the unfortunate mindset or the emerging perception, or perhaps the adopted reality, well, we are in for a rough ride ahead. Alright, it's a Friday, come tomorrow. That means God's willing, we still got more of today. What are we doing to make it matter and count and add greater value to others and to ourselves? Not in a selfish endeavor, but in a mindful, deliberate, conscious way to give, to our society. And sometimes that giving to others means that we take better care of ourselves through exercise and rest and good laughter. Perhaps you break bread with a friend and you appreciate how that companionship and fellowship not just enriches your lives, but it gives you a sense of connectedness. Perhaps, as you look forward to literally tomorrow, or perhaps the many morrows that lie ahead, you may choose to purposefully make, a sacrifice with a view that some goal in the long term is attainable, but hopefully enjoying the ride and the walk along the way. All right. Have a very, very excellent afternoon. If you have any particular requests, I mean, today, being what would probably be the first Thursday of the first month in this first week, you might say, you know what, that's a good day for a good country song. Or you might say, a little Peter Tosh might actually come into play. Or, you might listen to the Super John later and say, Stalin is being laid to rest, so let's hear a little bit more of his, Soleil or our legend, our very own legend. You might listen and continue to want to hear some of that music. Yeah, it's a lot that has transpired in recent times. A lot of Caribbean musical legends are being laid to rest. We're losing a lot. And I think increasingly we start to appreciate the importance of how we come together through music and through food. And sometimes, through just listening to others, we get to truly appreciate where we are. Well, I trust and pray that tomorrow will be an excellent day, but today itself will be one where, as they say, make hay while the sun shines. Until then, I am truly highly favored and pray the same for you.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
46 years.
3 beloved isles. 1 beloved station, Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The heart. The soul of the Cayman Islands.